Go.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Off the Cuff here at Oswego City Hall. We had a busy month, as I say every month. I'll start this month with a big change we've made with the assessing department and how we calculate taxes for senior citizens. We just implemented Monday night. The council finally voted to implement and expand a senior citizens expansion of the tax exemption. And what that is it's an exemption that's available to low-income senior citizens. It hasn't been adjusted since 1996. So with inflation and the cost of living increases, we thought we needed to adjust that to make it more applicable and relevant to senior citizens on lower incomes and fixed incomes today. And what that expansion included was raising the income threshold in which you qualify for the exemption. Before it was $25,000. We raised it to $30,500. And then we also took the exemption because it's a scaled exemption. So in 1996, if you made $17,500, you would have 50% of your taxes and your water bills exempt. So you'd essentially have 50% off. And then it would slowly decrease as your income went up until you got to $25,000, and that was a 10% exemption. We changed it so the minimum is $22,500 for 50% or half off, and then we expanded it so up to $30,500 is 10% off. So we adjusted that scale, and that way we can capture more senior citizens and adjusted the amount. So really, if you were making $25,000 back in 1996, you had a deal. We expanded that, so now if you're making up to $30,500, you get 10% off. So I think that'll capture more, and it'll give our senior citizens or low-income senior citizens, perhaps the folks that deserve the break the most, some relief on their bills associated with city services. I also want to point out that because we expanded it, if you were previously enrolled in the program, you would get a yearly automatic renewal. So the city would send you a letter, or you would know to stop in and make sure you were enrolled in the exemption program. However, because we expanded it, there are some senior citizens who weren't captured in this, or who weren't eligible to get this exemption before, but they are now eligible. However, the only way we know that is if they tell us. So I would encourage folks to spread the word. If you have senior citizen friends who you think may fall under the $30,500 income threshold, you need to tell them to come to City Hall, stop in the assessor's office, or call the assessor's office, and all the information's on the city website. So trying to encourage somewhat of a media blast, social media blast, and word of mouth around City Hall so that folks who are eligible can actually take advantage of it and know that they are eligible. And I'll just clarify even more, the exemption is for both water bills and property taxes, and the home here in Oswego must be your primary residence, and it's only for owner-occupied. So this doesn't apply to rental property or income-generating properties. And I appreciate the Common Council's support passing that tax break. We also tied two other tax breaks or tax exemption programs to this vote. We implemented a brand new Gold Star tax exemption. What that tax exemption does is a Gold Star is a mother or father or a couple who lost a son or daughter in the U.S. Armed Services. And what this exemption does is it gives those parents, the Gold Star parents, between a 15 to 25% exemption on their property taxes. That between 15 and 25, it depends on when the child served, the time frame, if they received any medals, dictates exactly what the amount you get exempt is, but it's usually between 15 and 25%. And then along the same lines, we also tied in a Cold War veterans exemption. What we found are a lot of veterans get exemptions based on the war in which they served or the battle in which they served, but the Cold War was left out here in city government, so we implemented a Cold War exemption. A Cold War is defined as anybody who served between 1945 and 1991. And what that exemption does is gives a 15% exemption to any Cold War veteran, and that's capped at $12,000. So, and again, those two exemption programs are brand new here in the city, so word of mouth and blasting that out and making folks aware is critical to make sure people who can take advantage of it do take advantage of it. Another big initiative that we're actually in the process of approving now, it passed to go to a public hearing. In 2 weeks it will have the public hearing. I expect it to pass, is the creation of a blight reduction fund. What that does is takes the city law now, by law, we can already identify vacant property hung up in the foreclosure process, typically bank owned or just any vacant property. And if the property becomes so bad, the city actually has the right to either condemn the property and demo it, or order that repairs need to be made to prevent the building from falling in. The city can actually authorize the DPW or a contractor to go fix the property and bill the property owner. However, what this blight reduction fund does is ties a fund to that law that's already on the books. We have $44,000 in state grant money to put seed money into the fund, and then the city is going to match it with $44,000. So we will have $88,000 in seed money to create this fund. And what this fund does is it gives the city money to go and tackle that first home, or the first batch of homes, I should say, that need this work immediately. And then because of the penalties levied against the property owner and the interest that accrues as the bills may or may not be getting paid, that money will go back into this fund so that we don't have to charge city taxpayers who pay their taxes or take money from the city coffers to do work to these buildings that desperately need it. So it just separates a fund so that we can actually administer this program more effectively and efficiently at no cost to taxpayers, and we can do it regularly now and try to clean up some of these vacant, blighted properties in our neighborhoods. Another big announcement that I'm extremely proud of happened earlier in the month, and that was the announcement that Northland Filter here in the city of Oswego on Mitchell Street is expanding. The city of Oswego gave them a $100,000 grant to help with their project. There are a bunch of different things associated with this announcement. Number one, this $100,000 from the city will help with their multi-million-dollar investment. The expansion will happen over the course of 2 years. They'll immediately start building in April, and it'll create 15 jobs immediately once the initial expansion is completed, and then it'll create 40 to 50 new jobs over the course of about 18 months. So that's a huge job creation numbers in terms of everything being relative here in the city. To have 40 or 50 new jobs coming in is quite a big deal. I'll also say that another benefit from this announcement is Northland is buying a building that was previously owned by Operation Oswego County. As you know, buildings owned by Operation Oswego County are not on the tax rolls, so this property, this building, and this expansion will now be taxed and come onto the tax rolls, which will be helpful to the city. And then the final announcement that I'm extremely proud of goes back to the jobs associated with this project. Like I said, 40 to 50 new jobs in the next year and a half. We signed an MOU with Northland Filter through our Section 8 HUD housing office, and what that does is, because over the last 2 years we've put an emphasis on workforce development and we've given priority preference to folks in our Section 8 office who actually are working part-time, because we want to encourage them to get on their feet and work and not have to worry about paying rent. That's what the program was designed for. Let them focus on raising their family and tending to their job. We signed an MOU that will directly reference our Section 8 clients to Northland Filter. So if they come in and they don't have a job, or they're looking for a new job, and they are on our HUD waiting list, in order to move up through the waiting list, if you have a job, you immediately go to the top. Well, now if a client comes in and they're on the waiting list, we can actually direct them to Northland Filter, and Northland Filter will supply them with an interview, or at least put them on the list to be interviewed. We will have applications and contact information at our HUD office, so we can direct them right to Northland and that relationship hopefully will pay off for our clients. Then they'll move up the waiting list, get on the program if they're not already. And it also applies to folks already on the program, so that these jobs are made available to the folks in our community who need them most, and they have that opportunity. Northland already had a job fair up in Fulton, and we're currently working together to try to put together a job fair for them here in the city of Oswego, so that folks with transportation challenges can attend this fair as well. And then two other smaller announcements, but announcements that I think will be helpful. Another one is a jobs announcement. Pizza Villa is moving from their current location to where Stone's Candy currently exists. That expansion will provide patio seating, indoor seating, allow them to expand their menu a bit, and will create about 10 jobs immediately. So the city, we made an announcement that the city gave them a $25,000 grant to help with that move. And then we gave a $15,000 grant to the Richardson Bates House Museum. The museum was in a bit of a situation because the roof needed immediate repairs. The Richardson Bates Museum houses the Oswego County Historical Society. Their annual operating budget is about $60,000, so a $15,000 emergency repair would really be detrimental to their annual operating budget. And we just felt here at the city that they do so much, not only for the city but the county, because they are the Oswego County Historical Society, but also we must preserve that iconic landmark here in the city that holds so much of our local history and actually brings in quite a bit of visitors from around the area. So we're essentially paying 100% for their roof repair with this $15,000 grant, and it also keeps all the records. They keep all the county records in the Richardson Bates Museum. So it's important to try to keep that as climate controlled as best we can. So those are really the 5 big action items that we tackled here in the last month. We already have a busy month in store for March because we're starting to fire up some of the initiatives that we'll tackle in the next month. And then I plan to next month talk about what those initiatives are, but also give an update on some DRI projects, because April is going to be an extremely busy month for about 4 of our projects. Thank you.